Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. What is a school supposed to do? I believe that a school should teach its students how to learn well and become independent contributors to the economy. Now there's some people out there who disagree with me and think that a school should take on many other responsibilities, such as teaching students at the school how to speak to each other. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to tell you why I think this is wrong, why I think this is outside the scope of education, and especially outside the proper scope of public education. Now, in Robbinsville, New Jersey, there's a school, an elementary school, Sharon School is the name, and they have a program in which every day the students at this school must gather into a circle and must share something about themselves to the rest of the group, something that is especially important to them. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a brilliant idea, doesn't it? After all, shouldn't people listen to each other? Shouldn't people discuss their values with each other? Isn't that extremely important? Shouldn't people learn how to be respectful of each other? Yes, of course. But there's a proper way to do this, and then there's an improper way to do this. What is the proper way? Well, students have something called recess, in which they go and they play, and teachers supervise. They supervise, but they're not supposed to get involved with the actual playing together of the students. Why? Because social interaction is something that there's something spontaneous about it. It has to do with your ability to, without being coerced into doing it, talk to somebody and get along with somebody. And it's not supposed to be coordinated by an outside party. That is unnatural socializing. Now let's look back at this idea of starting the day at your school with putting everybody in a circle and everybody taking the time to say something important about themselves, and why this is inappropriate. Because it's being conducted and orchestrated by teachers who are literally manipulating the act of socializing. Socializing is personal. Socializing is personal in that when you go and you talk to somebody and communicate with them and have a relationship with them, it's something you do of your own initiative. Now, it's also something that isn't supposed to stem directly from school. It's also the kind of thing that has to do with what our parents have taught us. For example, our parents teach us our fundamental values. Our parents have friends, and our parents hang out with their friends, and their children and their friends' children hang out and interact. And that's how, at the very early stages, children learn to interact with each other. I can vouch for this, obviously, because I was once a child, and I know how I learned to relate with others was through merely having the opportunity to be around others and to have conversations with others and relate to others. But when it's manipulated by teachers, like I said, it's unnatural and it is outside the necessary scope of a school. A school is supposed to give students facts to retain about the world. It's supposed to help them analyze those facts. It's supposed to help them apply what they learn from their analyses. It's supposed to help them set goals for themselves and achieve those goals, and it's supposed to help them plan and eventually learn how to identify what it is they want to do with their lives and how they're going to go about doing it. As for socializing, that exists outside of their academic life. It exists outside of their working environment even today. You may socialize with folks that you work with, but working is not supposed to be just pure socializing. It's supposed to be work-task related communication. When you're just having a fun time talking with friends about your values and the things that are important to you and what's going on in your life, that's outside of work. That's outside of school. It's personal, not academic. And I do not believe that this should be taking place at Sharon Elementary School or any other school. Now, I'd like to move on to another topic today. And that is the new bill that Chris Christie recently signed into law. It is the New Jersey Economic Opportunity Act of 2013. I don't like the bill. I think it's a bad idea. I'm going to give you just a few examples of what I think is wrong with the law. I'm sorry, I should have said law, not bill, because again, it was signed and is official now. So here are a few of the problems with it. First of all, it offers property tax abatements for companies that go into the poorest cities in the state, including Camden, Trenton, Passaic, and Patterson. Now, I understand this sounds actually like it is a brilliant idea. After all, we should want to help poor cities. We should want to do everything we can to attract businesses to poor cities and to grow jobs in poor cities so that they can grow more prosperous. Right, absolutely. Here's the problem. What is the actual likelihood that these property tax abatements for companies moving, that these property tax abatements are actually going to lure in great companies to these cities? After all, what is the number one problem with cities like Camden and Trenton, which would be allowed to have these property tax abatements for the companies that come in? Well, they're extremely dangerous. And why are they extremely dangerous? Are they ever going to stop being extremely dangerous? They're extremely dangerous because their local governments don't take good care of the cities that they're supposed to be taking care of. A perfect example, in Trenton, New Jersey, they tried to keep afloat a city-owned hotel that nobody went to because the city was so dangerous, and they were so desperate in their attempt to keep it afloat that when it was suffering massive debt, they decided that they would lay off police officers to try to keep the thing alive. And what happened? Trenton suffered a record-breaking number of murders. Who wants to go move to a city with record-breaking murders? Who wants to go move to a city where the local city governments can't take care of the city properly? I wouldn't. You could offer me a property tax abatement, I'm still not going to go because of it. And here's another problem. It's not fair. It's not fair to cities and towns that take good care of themselves. People who are responsible should be rewarded. Towns that take care of themselves should be rewarded, and not by the allowance of offering property tax abatements to companies that would go into their towns, because it doesn't actually ever solve the problem of high property taxes. And why is it fair for a homeowner to pay more property taxes than a business? What if that homeowner has a business somewhere else and is, offering a lot of jobs for people, and it's not in a terrible city? That person should have to pay more money? That's not fair. And at the very core of the issue, we're being divided. We're being divided. This town and this city gets that and that town gets that, and it's ridiculous. What will that create? It is going to inevitably create arguments. One group is going to say, that's not fair. This town gets this, and that city is going to say, that's not fair. That city gets